Welcome to Play with Ray, and to skip or buy, here is why. Alright, let's talk about Anno 9 Awakening, an action-adventure game with a few hits and quite a few misses. Here's my honest breakdown on whether it's worth your time or if you should skip it. When I first started Anno 9, I was thinking this would be a standard action-adventure experience. The visuals are intriguing, with a unique world and story that's trying hard to pull you in. The story has a decent amount of ambition. It's complex with some genuinely intriguing twists that had me curious to see where it would go. Unfortunately, the game falls a bit short in delivering on that ambition. For one, the movement mechanics sometimes get clunky, particularly when climbing and jumping. It is as if the game wants you to do a certain thing, but only lets you do it from a specific point. There were plenty of times I'd see an obstacle that looked climbable, but where I would go and get stuck trying to find the right angle to interact with it. That's a pretty big deal when movement is such a big part of gameplay. It breaks the flow and takes you out of the experience. Combat in Anno 9 has potential, with some really cool abilities and combos that feel inspired by games like Ghost of Tsushima. There's your basic melee combat, which can be fun, especially with stealth mechanics and these really cool reality-bending powers. For instance, you can briefly control enemies, which allows you to position them near explosive barrels or have them attack each other. This mechanic adds a unique tactical layer and brings a fresh twist to combat, letting you be more strategic rather than just smashing buttons. Unfortunately, in reality, combat ends up feeling a little bit too easy. You're often just pounding away at enemies, and it rarely feels like you're forced to use all the different mechanics at your disposal. It's a missed opportunity given the unique abilities that are available. Now, if you're more into stealth, that's where the game shines a little brighter. Sneaking around, using mind-bending abilities and strategically positioning enemies, it's all fun when it works. But even here, the mechanics feel a little bit underdeveloped. The stealth system isn't as fluid as you'd hope, and the clunky movement makes it tough to pull off the abilities in a satisfying way. The game feels like it wants to encourage stealth and strategy, but the mechanics don't really support it. The game also lacked basic guidance tools like a quest marker or even a journal to keep track of what you're supposed to do next. This makes navigating the game a bit of a chore. Luckily, the game is quite linear, so you'll find out soon enough that there's only one correct way to go. But the fact that there is no map or guide to help makes it frustrating to figure out what your next objective is. Another thing that really stuck out to me is the voice acting. To put it bluntly, it's pretty flat. The characters feel like they're just reading lines to each other rather than interacting, which makes it hard to connect with them. When a game is so narrative driven, you want to feel engaged with the characters, but the bland delivery keeps you at a distance, which distracts from the story. Despite these setbacks, Anno 9 does have its moments. The reality-bending powers are definitely a highlight, letting you mess with enemies in a creative way. These powers give you options that are rare in this genre. It's generally fun and adds something new to combat and stealth. The storyline is also a positive, with a mysterious, lore-rich world that makes you want to explore and uncover its secrets. Even though it's not an open-world game, the linear structure actually works in its favor, guiding you through the story without having to worry about side missions or detours. If you're someone who enjoys a straightforward narrative journey, this could be a nice change from open-world chaos. So, should you buy Anno 9? If you're big into action-adventure games and don't mind some clunky mechanics, it might be worth checking it out for the unique powers and the story. However, if you're looking for a highly polished experience with smooth combat and seamless movement, this one's probably a skip. Anno 9 feels like it's stuck between trying to be a classic action-adventure and a stealth-focused game, and it doesn't quite make this combination work. So that is it for my skip or buy review for this game. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you appreciate my honesty. And if you did, please consider throwing me a like or subscribing to this channel if you want to see more. Thank you once again and see you next time.